Hey, my name's Ash. I'm a military consultant with Bohemian Interactive. I was a senior team leader in the British military, and I spent 10 years as a frontline soldier. Intrinsically, what I'm here to do is help you guys through the AARs, which are after-action reports. Obviously, no plan survives first contact, so you're going to have to be able to adapt and overcome. Again, I'm nothing special. I'm going to give you my experiences in a relevant way to ARMA, and hopefully afterwards you can go back and play the missions again from a new perspective and have an entirely new experience with some of the hints that I've given you, or tips and tricks, etc. Reconnaissance. So today what we're going to talk about is obviously reconnaissance. There's three main points that I want to touch on. It's not going to be anything extensive, but it should help you along in the dynamic battlefield of ARMA. So small unit reconnaissance is the first point, and then we'll go into tactical positioning of your teams, and then the third and last point will be tactical utilization of terrain and environment. Okay, so I'll show you what I did on the mission. So we started at this point here. That's where our team assembled and was ready to move. Sorted out our kit, made sure we were good to go. So afterwards, we utilized the terrain and followed behind the main feature. As we came around, we ducked into the woodline as quickly as possible, obviously maintaining no observation on us from the enemy. We snaked our way down through the trees and ended up down in this area here. I found that I could get great eyes on and still have an escape route back up the tree line if I had to. Up is not ideal, but nonetheless, everything in front of us was enemy controlled. At this point, we had great eyes on to this area, and this afforded us the ability to map the enemy patrol routes. And from there, I split my team. I sent 3 call signs this way, my MGs and my medic, and myself and 2 other call signs pushed down here. At this point, we found our target here, which was the missing patrol. I treated him with first aid. He made his way back to cover, and at that point, he was able to give us vital information that led us to finding a mortar position. So basically, an overall picture of this is hiding. You're going to spend a lot of time hiding, you're going to spend a lot of time watching, and you're going to spend a lot of time learning what your enemy patrol routes are. And the more information you have, the better you can kind of maneuver your way around them and avoid contact with them. With reconnaissance in this regard, you're going to want to keep yourself hidden, you're going to want to keep out of sight. If you fired your weapon, you failed as a reconnaissance soldier. All right, so we're going to touch on combined arms and in reference to this mission and how it applies. Combined arms isn't necessarily everything. It's just operating with other units that aren't of your own. So infantry utilizing armor along with fast air, rotary, and naval even. And you put them all together, you got your combined arms. But you can also pick pieces and have a couple of them, and it'll be classed as combined arms. Nonetheless, as reference to the mission, I took the role of a sniper. There was a couple of different roles you could take. That was just the one I chose. And after a short journey on an ATV, I ended up at a LUP on hill, let's call it 156. So from this position, I resupped, got whatever I needed. I then bounced out and moved into another position where I could get eyes on to the convoy area, which I found very quickly, and a nice little bend where eventually a QRF vehicle pair end up making their way. Now you have a chance to go drop some explosives down there. I did. Vehicles came through, hit the first one, and the second one got through. I plunked the driver, gunner dismounted, he legged it. From there, I then changed position. Again, utilizing cover, staying in the tree lines. I got into another hill, let's call it 182, and from hill 182, I was able to get eyes on the convoy. I then started thinning out the defenses that they had kind of organized around it. And then at this point, it turned into a defensive role, and QRF rocked up with a 5-ton and a bunch of lads. So they burst out and started moving into position. At this point, I was able to utilize artillery. I dropped artillery on them, thinned them out, and then used that sound as cover to get more rounds downrange. Something to note is positive target identity, basically. It was an interesting mission where there was a lot of enemy call signs that were operating in the same kit as friendly call signs. So you really had to make sure that your positive ID was on point, like spot on. The method that I used was to take my time and observe, see who they were working with. If I couldn't get a good eyes on, I would test and adjust, so I'd find a new position at a different angle, maybe closer if I could, and then observe. If in doubt, don't fire. The other thing that I was utilizing in this was a range card, and with the range card, it was very easy to map out where everything was, and I could then call in artillery rapid. Okay, so from there, everything was basically sorted. The combined arms was artillery, sniper, and dismounts or infantry working together. That is obviously a very big subject, which includes everything, but in this case, in relevance to this mission, it was a nice small force. In conclusion, some key points to remember. Avoid engaging the enemy. You choose when the fight starts. Make sure you control that at all costs. Use the terrain for cover. So obviously minimize your exposure to the enemy by putting terrain between you and him. Take well-placed shots. Every shot has to count. None of this blind fire stuff. That only happens in Hollywood. Positively identify your targetry. It is paramount that you make sure you're shooting at the enemy. Map your enemy's movements and positions. Basically, by doing so, you control the battlefield, or it helps you control the battlefield, and minimizes any surprises. All right, gents. Well, that's been the conclusion. I just wanted to go over some very key points in reference to ARMA and the ARMA universe. I know I've been playing the game for a while, and I know you have too. I can only give you my views of it and how I would have gone about these missions. I'm sure you have your own experiences. Many of you may even be veterans yourself, and as such, you'll have a completely different approach or something similar. At the end of the day, it's up to you. It is a game, and it's to be enjoyed. And again, yeah, just enjoy yourselves. Hopefully I've given you something you can use. Cheers, lads, and thanks for your time.